It was such an important game because I think straight away after Liverpool, which was sensational, any win at Anfield just feels rare and special when you're a Manchester United player or a fan. But then all the way through the week, you've just got that thing in the back of your mind. Don't mess it up now. Don't cock it up. You know what I mean? Don't go back the way. Don't take one step forward and three back, because you'll end up back where you're questioning the manager again, you're questioning the system again. So it was such an important game, not just for the three on the row. It was obvious that Manchester United would go up into the top six, not maybe as gloriously as they have with all the other teams losing that have lost up there. But it was obvious that Manchester United were going to sail back up the league, and it was a game they couldn't lose. And Brighton have got a great record against United. But I thought the football was good. I actually thought in the first 10 minutes, what I actually was most impressed with United was in the first 10 minutes, I thought that what they did, they tried to go a little bit high press. And I saw De Ligt jumping out onto Welbeck. Shaw was really aggressive and actually continued to be aggressive. But what it meant was that it felt like there was gaps everywhere for Minte and Welbeck and Kadioglu on the right hand side to run through. And I thought, this is going to be dangerous. This is going to be a problem. And I think they got a couple of warning signs and then they just sat back a little bit. And that's just something, it's not a problem for them. As long as they're able to actually not do it for the whole game and they have to come out of that shape. Manchester United being with the back five and then that sort of what would be four in midfield and the sort of, or three in midfield, or two in midfield, but the two coming back in with Šeško up front and being compact for 5-10 minutes and stopping the flow and suffocating the game and then getting your football back. That's fine. There's no problem with that. So they did that, I thought, after 10 minutes well. They got back into the game. And then the big thing for United is that Cunha and Mbeumo are... they're players who I love watching in a red shirt. Are they the best players that will ever wear a red shirt? Are they the best forwards that Manchester United have ever had? That's still to be seen. But what I like about them is their hunger, their courage to take the ball. They're positive. They do everything I think United forwards should do. Now, they'll make mistakes. They'll give goals away. It's Cunha's first goal of the season, so he's missed a lot of chances earlier on in the season, as Mbeumo did as well. But what I can see is the intent is there to do the right thing every single time. Get on the ball, make runs in behind, take people on, be a threat. Make sure that if you lose it 5 times, you go and get it a 6th time. All those things that I've heard all my life of the values of a forward at United. Go and try and win your team the game. Shoot from anywhere. Whatever it is that you think you can see, go and smell and do it. And I just think that they do really demonstrate that. And those two up front, I said just before about Liverpool, about where the Liverpool sort of, you 7 think about keeping a clean sheet and let your front 3 win the game. There's a bit with United, if that back 5 can just do a job with the goalkeeper, who, by the way, the goalkeeper looks like he's a lot more solid and stable than the other two. I like goalkeepers, to be fair, who've got a composure to them, who've got a relaxed manner. You can see it in Lamans. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I say Lemons and they call him Lamans. But Lamans is someone who looks composed, and that's not easy. I've said it before, that's the toughest job, I think, that you can possibly have, is to be a United goalkeeper. So he's settled in well. And then your 2 in midfield, and I say 2 because Casemiro did really well, but Bruno Fernandes you've got to give a bit of freedom to, because he's a special player. But if you can have somehow those 2 up top that are free to go and win you the game, and the other 7 or 8 can just contribute in and around it and provide a support system to them, I think United will have a very good season. I said at the start of the season I thought they would finish in the top 4, but that's just me being me. I'm Monday Night Football with Carragher. I didn't think they would finish in the top 4. I actually thought it would be 5th, 6th or 7th. But the way in which this season's panning out, the 3 weeks that they've got to prepare between every game is a massive advantage to be able to get everybody ready and sort of keep everybody fit. So, yeah, a lot of... And we're only a week or so away where I was thinking the manager was under pressure, by the way, so we've got to be really careful here because we could be there again in a couple of weeks. It's that type of season, it's that type of feeling, but there's something there that I like. What I do like also is that, and I hear this, a few weeks ago I was worried about the players buying into the system and the way of playing, and I truly was. But what I was never worried about was the fact that this idea that, sometimes when you hear managers have lost the changing room, no, that's never happened with Amorim. They really like him. I think they like him a lot, the players. They think that, you can see that when he speaks on something. He's authentic, he's honest to a fault at times, really, when you think about his press conferences, but how can you have a go at someone for being honest? So I think the players really like him and want to do well for him, and I think that's come through in the last week or so. So it's been a really good week for United. Amorim's best week in the job, his most important week in the job, but got to keep going. Nottingham Forest next weekend. Just make every game a must-win, because the fact of the matter is it keeps everybody happy. You know, if Manchester United can win at Forest next week, and they can win at Forest next week. They're going to have to compete, but they can win at Forest next week. They go for a big game against Tottenham, I think, in a couple of weeks, and that'll be really interesting. So I think, look, where they were pre-international break to post-international break, I think it's been a big period for Ruben Amorim. He's got himself back on track. I think people are now just starting to think, right, okay, something could happen here for him.
Yeah. I think one final item, and that is for me to say congratulations to you on your entry into the Premier League Hall of Fame. I thought it was a lovely image, because I know Bryan Robson is your boyhood hero.
Yeah.
He handed it over to you. So as brief for as long as you want, a word on winning that. It must have meant a fair bit to you.
Do you know something? I got told about it about a week ago. I didn't know that Bryan was presenting me the trophy. So that was a surprise yesterday. So when he walked down the tunnel and I was there, I mean, for the Manchester United fans will know that he's my absolute hero. If you're between the ages of, well, I don't know, 45 and maybe 55, 60, Bryan Robson was your hero. Simple as that. You'll have loved Norman Whiteside, you'll have loved Mark Hughes, you'll have loved Gordon McQueen, you'll have loved other players along the way, Arthur Albiston and everybody, but Bryan Robson was the man. He was the man that sort of, in a time where Manchester United weren't winning league titles, was the shining light. A incredible player, someone who I think set the standards for England and for Manchester United, and was my hero without a shadow of a doubt, my inspiration in my childhood, and also someone who actually I was blessed to have played in his very last game. My Premier League debut was Bryan Robson's very last game in the Premier League for Manchester United, so that was a special moment back in 1994, 31 years ago. So yeah, it was a really nice moment. I don't really do sort of personal accolades. I used to sometimes get voted into the PFA Team of the Year, and I used to think that was a really nice thing. And similarly yesterday, the fact that award was voted for by the 24 people who'd won the actual award previously, I think makes it more special, because they're the people who you used to play against and play with. And then obviously back in the day the PFA team was exactly the same. So yeah, I always feel incredibly lucky and privileged to just have played under the greatest manager, with an incredible staff, with great captains and great players alongside me that elevated me, inspired me every single day when I went into that changing room. And my football career seems like a distant memory, feels like it never existed sometimes. I always feel like, I'm 13, 14 years out of the game, but it just feels so long ago now. But it will always be the most special time of my life. And then the two most important groups of people I suspect, I know, were the fans, who, again, there's nothing better than think about those Tottenham fans travelling home tonight. If United won away from home and you sent the United fans home on a journey happy, or even at Old Trafford with the 70,000 of them, they were absolutely amazing. Then obviously my family. I know my dad would be proud, and my mum is, so, and my brother and sister. So yeah, nice moment for me. But yeah, let's look forward to next week. I'm going to America next weekend.
Enjoy.
I'm going to New York, and I'm going to do some work over in America for the Premier League, which is always nice.
And have noticed this in Manchester United's midfield, a tactical shift, some changes.
Yeah, get straight into the tactical side. A lot's been said about the midfield too, and the pairing and the spaces that they've got to cover over the last year or so, really. And for me as an ex-midfielder, something I'm really interested in, of how they get support and help. You can't expect two midfielders against a good team to deal with 3 and 4 players. So how do you find the solution? They found the solution with the forwards dropping in to support this middle zone that we're showing here, to support Bruno and Casemiro. They found support with Luke Shaw jumping in on Ruta and staying in there to almost make a 3 midfield, which then in the end it's a numbers game and it's a space game, and you've got to fill the right spaces. And Bruno, Luke Shaw and Casemiro here filling that middle of the pitch just kept them solid. There's no way against the Brighton team you could ask Bruno and Casemiro to do that. And the formation was quite fluid, and you can see Luke Shaw's almost right midfield here. That leaves Cunha to drop in and be responsible and be really disciplined. But because the spaces and he's tucked in or around it, even when they got broke at times, they were willing to backtrack and fill in fluid. And you see Cunha backtracking in the left-back position here. It summed it up it was such a big shift from Mbeumo Cunha, Bruno Casemiro and Luke Shaw to fill the middle of the pitch. And again, here you see it. The release, Šeško presses the goalkeeper. You expect Brighton to make a pass or two to break the press. Bruno releases, Casemiro's in and around, Luke Shaw all the way in aggressive with the confidence to win it back. And then Casemiro gets it, a little bit of luck with the finish, but I think they earned that because of the spaces that they closed down and stopped Brighton as the game went on, stopped Brighton playing through. The next clip we're looking at is a little bit with the ball, and again, I feel this